project on this new topic on program management and project planning. And today we'll have a discussion with a professional from the industry on project
Okay,
planning.
sir.
Hope you like this. Thank you. Welcome to Business Doctor. In continuation with the discussion we had in the last week about project planning, I have Ganesan with me, who was introduced in the last video itself. So we are going to discuss the project planning slightly more in detail today. Ganesan, over to you.
Yes, sir. I want to ask about work breakdown structure in this regard. How to make a work breakdown structure and how to use the work breakdown structure.
Okay, that is very, very important, and that is the fulcrum in project planning. Okay, so just to recap, we discussed a few things about what is project, what are all the areas we need to consider into planning element, what are all the constraints, like that we discussed last week. Okay, so maybe I will give you an example. With that, we'll try to understand what is over breakdown structure is. Suppose we are going to make a coffee. That is the project. Okay, let's say. So we need few things. For example, you need a set of utensils. Okay, like a stove. You need a vessel. You need something to hold, some lighter, etc. So there are certain things which you need. Then you need the actual ingredient. Okay, like you need a coffee powder or coffee beans, then which you have to grind. Then you need other ingredients to making coffee. Then you need milk. Okay, if you are going to take it with the milk. Then you may need sugar. Again, there are different types of sugar, whether to add or not. So like that, there are set of items which are required, resources which are required to make a coffee. Then all these things won't happen on its own. You need a human resource or a machinery which is going to make. Again, to operate that machine, you need another human being to operate that vending machine, which is going to dispense a coffee. Then you need a cup. Okay. Then the cup, whether it has to be a glass or the paper or material. Then you need to also plan how to dispose that cup after taking coffee. Okay, if it is a vessel, then you need to plan for cleaning that. If it is a disposable, you need to have a bag to, correct? So to make a coffee, you need a set of ingredients. Then you need a set of tools or machineries or equipments. Then you need a set of human resources. Then you need certain disposable items. Correct?
Yes, sir.
But with this, can you make a coffee?
No.
Not possible.
No, sir.
Though we have all the resources, all these things. Okay. This is where the first important point which you need to know, which is called assumptions. The person who is going to make the coffee knows how to make the coffee. That is the assumption you are making. Correct?
Yes.
So
correct, sir.
before you get on to the work breakdown structure, you need to understand what are all the types of work, and what for that you have to make some certain assumptions. Assumptions cannot be fictitious. Okay, like this guy can land in moon tomorrow. You cannot make that kind of an assumption. The assumption has to be reasonably practical, and at the same time, you don't know whether this guy has got the skill or not. So you assume that this guy has got that skill, required skill. Okay. So assumptions are very, very important before you start the work breakdown structure. Then all these equipment. So you need a gas stove. So how do you get a gas stove? For that, you may have to buy, you have to borrow, then you need to buy a cylinder, or if it is a microwave oven, then you need to buy that. Then that goes into another assumption that you need all these equipments or infrastructure in place that is readily available for you. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is that once the project starts, then you will go and start buying the microwave oven. Okay, or you will start buying the gas stove, which will take 3 days. But coffee is in a matter of 15 minutes, you need a coffee. But you are going to wait for that, it will take 2 hours or 3 hours or 2 days, 3 days, which is not possible. Okay. So second thing is these resources must be available. Okay. Then another very, very important point. We discussed about having a milk, having coffee beans, etc. You need water also, by the way. Okay.
Yes.
So you need to know in which order you need to execute this. Okay. That is very, very important. That is called in the parlance, it is called recipe. Okay. If you do this in this way, you will get this. But if you do the same equipment with the same set of ingredients, but it in a different way, you will get a different output. For example, you mix coffee powder with the hot water and then with the milk, then maybe with the sugar, you get a proper coffee or a filter coffee, let's say. But if you don't heat it, instead of heating it, you put it in a refrigerator, you will get a ice cold coffee.
Yes, sir.
Same ingredient. If you don't do this, you will get one recipe. If you do this in another way, you will get a different output. So here the important point is not only that you know how to break down the task. Like the task here is that to make a coffee. Okay. You are going detail into that. That means you are breaking down that how to make a coffee to a detailed steps. Okay. Then the order in which you are going to execute, that is very, 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 very important. Otherwise, you will get a different outcome. So how do you know that the sequencing of these tasks are to be done this way? That is where the project manager should have the kind of experience, knowledge on thinking through what is the sequence or what is the correct sequence to make that particular output. You understand?
Understand.
So, sequencing is very, very important. Okay, in the work breakdown structure. The next important point is that for each of the elements, okay, like, for example, you have to heat water. So whether you are going to heat water for 5 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, or you want to heat milk, whether you are going to heat milk for half an hour, 1 hour, or 1 day, that you need to know. That means each of the tasks will have certain entry criteria and kind of exit criteria. Okay. So the entry criteria for this is like, you are supplied with the normal water or water at a room temperature. So you have to heat to say 80 degrees centigrade or 100 degrees centigrade. Then you have to allow that to be cooled up to say 60 degrees centigrade or 50 degrees centigrade. Okay. So that means the boiling also will take time. Cooling will also take time. The same way for milk. So for each of the tasks, not only that you need to know what is your input criteria and your output criteria, you also need to know how much time the planning or planning here is that boiling water is part of the work that the pre-work is going to take. Okay, then the actual work is going to take. Actual work is like mixing all these things. Then the post work. Post work is that suppose you are having only one utensil, one glass. So you have to heat it on that. Then you have to store that somewhere. Then again you have to use the same utensil for heating milk. Then again you have to mix it. Whereas if you are having 3 glasses or 5 glasses or 5 glasses, you can use at your disposal. Okay, which one to use, and you can then there is a problem. Then you have to watch all these things at a later time. So when something is easy for your task, post task there is going to be a cleanup work. So you will have that much time you are going to take to clean up. Correct.
Yes,
So
yes,
what
correct,
is
sir.
the best or optimal use of these resources? Whether to have 2 glasses, 2 vessels, or 5 glasses, 10 vessels, that you need to decide. That is where the project manager should have the skill to assess. Okay, based on you understand now that we discuss about constraints. So on that constraint, you need to understand with whether we can do that with 2 glasses and 5 vessels or 5 glasses and 10 vessels. That you need to apply. Whether you need 1 resources to do or 10 resources to do that. Okay, one can, for example, one can get water, another can get milk. If you have got 3 stove, each can be done parallelly also. Heating water is also can be done parallelly. Heating milk also can be done parallelly. Whereas if we have got only one equipment to heat, then you have to do it in sequence. So each of the tasks you need to identify how many after sequencing, how many can be done in sequence, how many can be done in parallel. Okay, that is very, very, very important. Then
Okay.
suppose to heat water, it is going to take 5 hours, whereas milk will be heated in just 30 minutes. So you need to plan based on which is going to take more time to process it. You need to start that in advance. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will fail.
Okay, sir.
Milk is ready. But again, the water will take another 4 hours, 4 hours. By the time the milk will get cold. Again, you have to reheat it. Okay. Assume that the milk cannot be heated. That is a constraint. Okay, because of quality criteria. Then that milk is waste. You need to buy another milk. For that, again, you have to go out. You have to spend money.
Yes, sir.
Or to go out, again, you need money. You go into that circle. That means you are not going to produce A, the necessary output, B, the output on time. That is more important. See, you are going to have a dinner, for example. So you can have a dinner at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But you can't plan the dinner tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock because of the delay. Then it becomes a breakfast for tomorrow, not a dinner for today. Correct. So there is a stipulated time by which it has to be done. Otherwise, it will lose the purpose. So the timing is very, very important. So you have to start and end your cooking within that time frame in this order. That means that you will get the required recipe or required output. So this is the first step in establishing a WBS connection.
Okay, sir. So, see, we can. How can we define the levels of WBS success, sir? So you said one. How can we develop the levels or elements of WBS success?
So for that, you should have some knowledge about what the project is. What is the scope of work?
Yeah.
For the same coffee example, you should know that you need to have milk, water, and coffee powder or something. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You should not go and buy rice and curd and this to make a coffee. So what elements are required for that type of project? That is important. That is where the project manager has to understand, or you should have the experience in understanding different kinds of projects, what are all the high level things which are required. Then you have to break down. Okay. You have to break down and then you make it to at the task level that has to be decomposed, and every entry in the work breakdown structure should be atomic. Okay. So at that level, either the project manager himself should know, or should they discuss with the person who has written the scope. You have to understand. Then you need to discuss on the various. These are the planning elements. Okay, you need to know the planning elements. Then you have to put it in the order also. That is also very, very important.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then the start time and end time, each one will have that. Once you decide this, okay, then you have to find the right people to do the right kind of job. You cannot plan
okay.
just because that you have got a cook. You can't plan for a coffee making. Either it will be overkill, or you may be a wrong person for the job. Okay, so you should have the right person. Same way, you need to plan for equipments also. Okay.
Yes.
What kind of equipments you need? How many equipments you need? Okay. Then the equipment also will have a lot of inputs and outputs. For example, it requires a say 5 amps power supply or 16 amps power supply. Then you need to have the proper earthing, proper power supply, switchboard, etc. For that, you should have a electrical engineer who has come and verify all the installations are up and running. Otherwise, what will happen is that there will be a shock, and which will have a safety aspect, impact. So you need to plan all those things. See, there are certain things like the laws of the government. Okay, wherever the project is going to run, the labor laws, the environment laws, plus the safety, all these things are will be based on certain laws of the country, or in whichever country you are trying to do the project or the service. Okay, so you have to comply to all that. Besides that, your work may also demand certain regulations. Okay, suppose you are putting up a factory. Okay, for example, then what will happen? You need to put a effluent treatment also. Okay, so effluent treatment, then it requires a pollution control board approval, and so on and so forth. So that means you need to have an interface with the government agencies also. So in your work breakdown structure, you need to plan. Okay, so these tasks will involve external parties, which is not connected with your company or your project or your team. Okay, anything which is external to your team or external to this project or external to your company, you need to identify as external interfaces. Okay, at the same time within the company, but different departments, it's an internal interface. Okay, so like that you have to identify these and you have to understand their requirements. Then you may have to submit certain documents for them to approve. For example, then you need to, or certain things may require certification from a government agency or a third-party agency. Okay, like it may be ISO certification, or it may be CMMI certification, like that. So you need to know which task would require these kind of certifications. Then you need to plan. But when you are planning for external interfaces, you need to take a judgment call. Like for pollution control board, it will take say 15 days, 30 days. Then you need to have a buffer. Okay, it may not happen exactly in 15 days time. So you need to have maybe 10% buffer, 20% buffer. That you need to discuss with the project delivery people that know how much time you can afford here. Okay.
Afford.
Then you need to plan the buffer. But here you need to be careful. When you are planning for the buffer, in the buffer period, you are going to be sitting idle because you have given the mail to somebody. That guy is going to take and you are going to be idle. Okay. So you must have that kind of a sense to identify how much buffer you can give, and in that buffer time, what are the tasks you can do or your team can do. So somebody has to plan certain kind of tasks which can be done during this time. Maybe certain a certain cleanup work, certain review work can be done in this during this period. Okay.
Correct.
Having said that, there is one more important thing, Ganesan. For every
Yes, sir.
task, you should also plan, if you are not using any tools, okay, you need to
Sir.
plan what is the standard time it is going to take. You should know. Say, for example, you are going from place A to place B. Okay. How much time it is going to take? Okay.
Okay.
To make a coffee, probably you will take 15 minutes to 30 minutes. You will not take 5 hours to make a coffee. Okay. Or if somebody
Okay.
says that I'll do the coffee in 1 minute, that also you will be suspicious. So, but when you are giving a plan, like making a coffee, then this task will be approximately 30 minutes. But if somebody does the work efficiently, okay, for the same cost, for the same schedule, for the same constraints, all the constraints are same. But here the person's capability or efficiency in managing this is better. Then what happens that the coffee can be made in 15 minutes. Or
Yes,
if
sir.
you are a new person to make a coffee, okay, you
Take
may
some-
take 45 minutes or 1 hour. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Assuming the quality of the coffee is good. Okay, that is given. Okay. So this is called the standard time, which is 30 minutes. Very optimistically, you can say, I'll complete it in 15 minutes. In a pessimistic way, that means for some reason, I watch TV, then do coffee, or I'll take a break and do something else and then come back. Or this job is monotonous, so I need some intermittent refreshments. Okay, so this task might, or the skill level of the person is so low that he will take 1 hour. Okay, so which is pessimistic. But anywhere between 15 minutes to 60 minutes, you must have a coffee. That is given.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which is for the same quality. Quality.
Okay, sir.
See, normally people say that quality will be a constraint, that I don't want to reduce the quality. But actually, in reality, what happens is that many people keep the quality at last. They will try to complete the project. Then they will improve the quality one by one. Okay, I will do the bug
Yes, sir.
fixing, or I will do this rectification later, or I will plan for some documentation. Like that, they will do everything at a later time. But actually, for a good program manager or a project manager, quality should be inbuilt, and it is sacrosanct. It is non-negotiable. Okay, because the
Okay,
cost
sir.
of poor quality, which is a very big subject, cost of poor quality will be almost 3 times to 5 times of the project. Suppose the coffee is bad, okay, the milk is not good, or no water is not good, or the vessel was not cleaned properly. Let's say it's like a failure mode analysis. Okay, what will happen is that you to make another coffee, you need to go and buy, suppose, the same milk, some coffee powder, then you have to make it. You will take at least 2 hours to 3 hours. Okay.
Yes.
So the cost of poor quality is very high. So the project manager must be responsible enough to ensure that the quality is part of the system. Of course, you can have a task for quality engineers to do the testing or verification. I mean, the names are different. Basically, it's a quality check for each of the tasks. You can have another again set of resources, or you can automate with the tools. Okay, like a testing tool. Maybe if it is a mechanical side, then you can have a inspection team in place. If it is a software side, you can have a software testers on this side. They can verify and give you. There are different techniques, but as part of the project plan, you must include the verification part or the quality of design in place at the start. That is important. So with that, each one will have a optimistic time, pessimistic time, and a standard time. So now you have a work breakdown structure, correct? You talked
sir.
about the critical path method. Okay, last time also we discussed. I'll
Yes, sir.
extend that. See, in the critical path method, you have to identify where the waiting time is. Okay. For example, the thing we were discussing about coffee making. Okay. There
Yes.
we discuss about, heating the milk is 30 minutes, whereas heating water is 4 hours. Okay. Then when do you start? When do you plan to start heating the milk? It should be exactly 3.5 hours after starting the heating of water.
Water. Yes.
Correct. That
Yes, sir.
project manager should sequence based on not only the activity, but based on time also. When to start. Okay. Then you should know how long that time will last. Heating will be 30 minutes. Heating will be 4.5 hours. That timing you should know. Then you should accordingly start. But here there is another catch.
Yeah.
I don't know how to switch on the stove, let's say. Okay, then I need to be trained. Correct?
Yes, sir.
If it is one coffee, then probably you will help me to make it. If I have to produce 1,000 coffee in 1 hour, okay, or I have to cook for some 1,000 people for a lunch, then the scale is different. Correct?
Yes, sir.
I can't adopt
Yeah,
this
correct.
same single stove setup for making the coffee. I have to have a different set of equipments. Okay.
Yes.
Again, it goes back to your project scoping. Whether it's not just a question of making a coffee is your scope. For how many people you need. So number of people will be also part of your specification. Okay.
Yes, sir. Understand.
Then in what setting it has to be served. If all of you are going to sit, 1,000 people are going to sit in a stadium, and I am going to serve one by one. By the time I serve the 1,000th person, the meeting will be over. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So then I need, for each row, I need to have some mechanism by which I deliver this coffee almost simultaneously to all the 1,000 people while they are attending.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
maybe a gap of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I must be in a position to serve. This is also part of the project specification, scope specification. Understand?
Yeah, understand. Sir.
So just is not like, how to make a coffee or how many people to serve. You need to know in what setting also it has to be served. Okay. Setting is very, very important. The delivery setting, for example. Okay. Now, having known that, you need to understand how to sequence the task plus based on the time and based on their start time, end time. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The critical path method will give you for the whole project or for a set of tasks how long your project will take optimistically, how long it will take pessimistically, how long it will be on a standard working environment. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is how your the beginning of CPM starts here actually. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But for that, there is one more important topic which we will discuss in the another session. Okay, which
Okay,
is
sir.
like resource leveling. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Leveling, that is called leveling of resources. So the leveling of
Okay, sir.
resources we will discuss in the other video. And also we will discuss about how this impacts the critical path method and PERT. There is also something called PERT. Okay.
But okay, sir.
So with that, the idea of project management at a higher level will come to an end. Of course, you need to plan for risk mitigation, etc. That we will discuss now in the down the line.
Okay, sir.
So any other question, Ganesan?
No questions, sir. I think today it's very clear about work breakdown structure and CPM, sir. Thank you. We will see in the forthcoming classes resource leveling and risk mitigation. Yeah, waiting for it, sir.
Thank you, Ganesan. Okay,
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
see
Thank
you
you.
in the next video. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you for watching us.